That's right, baby. Welcome to the sanctuary. Business is about to pick up in Survivor. Do you think business is about to pick up? I feel like business has been on the decline a little bit the past couple weeks.
Really?
We went from Cedric, Say, and Mary to having the most chaotic tribal councils ever. To then, like, when you go back to regular Survivor after that, it just feels like a little bit, like, not as intense.
I think that it's a necessary lull in the action to help set up some major stuff. Because, you know, if we get a crazy tribal council every single episode, it won't feel special when something crazy happens, you know?
Yeah, you're right. If the whole season was the first 3 episodes, then whatever happens next season, we'd be like, this is the worst season ever.
Yeah, I think it just, I mean, and I've been enjoying the episodes. I don't even think they've been bad episodes. It's just they've been normal Survivor gameplay. There hasn't been, like, insane choices from someone like Cedric.
There's been nobody voting for every person on their tribe.
Right.
We started off so crazy. It's kind of like Banu. You had to come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it will get crazy again. I think because the merge is usually when the seasons pick up and get hot anyway.
Yo, I think Chrissy might have, kickstarted business picking up.
Yeah, I agree.
So I want to get into the episode 9 sneak previews.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Seeing your name at Tribals ever fun, but I'm chilling. I'm super, super good. Chrissy went home because she tried to take a very early stab at someone that she shouldn't have. Me. I don't know why she came to me. She seemed to be very upset with all of the muscles. And I don't know how that ended up being mad at me. I felt like the tribe had my back. Sure enough, the tribe did have my back. Okay. Yeah. Every single person voted for Chrissy except for Chrissy. But I don't think that it was unanimous in their hearts. I think it was unanimous on paper.
Was she coming after Shaheen?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think Shaheen's flattering himself a little bit.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's the main character when he was kind of an afterthought in that episode. I mean, it looked like he might have gone home, but it was very apparent everyone voted for Chrissy.
Yeah, I think what he's referring to is that Chrissy decided to put her vote on him. So he thought that everything she said was just about him.
See, and here's one thing, and I think most Survivor players are aware of it, but all I would be able to do, if I noticed that the person that we all sent home wrote my name down, I would have been like, okay, who told her to put my name down?
Yeah.
Because she had to have thought she was with the majority too, you know?
There was a comment from somebody. I mean, it only has 1 like, so take it with a grain of salt, but I don't know my username. 5989 on YouTube says, the editors love dunking on Shaheen. Constant bad reads, and now goofy music. I don't know why some people still think he's winning.
Yeah, that is an interesting point that Forgot My Username brings up. They are kind of making him look a little silly. Whereas David was kind of being treated as the dumb himbo earlier in the season. Yeah. Now it's like David is this like villain character. So it's interesting how they're playing around with the different kind of arcs.
Yeah, so Shaheen has turned a little goofier maybe, and then David is like the roided up villain.
Yeah. Very interesting.
But I think we're going to hear a little bit from David in this next sneak preview.
My hesitation is like, I've been so straight up with all of you that it's hard for me.
I think Chrissy was not part of that plan, which is why they were okay voting her out. But Camilla was, which is why they were so strong about switching it to Chrissy, and which is why they did it in the last minute. What? And you went back on.
Let me pause this, David. I can barely hear you, brother.
Yeah, brother. Why are you whispering in Fiji?
I'm playing this at full volume, and you're still unintelligible.
Are you afraid someone's going to overhear you? You're on TV, brother.
All right, let's keep going.
Like at the dinner, it seemed pretty clear that it was Camilla. And then at the last minute, he convinced you to do Chrissy.
The group decided for the group. But they've never done that, ever. I'm not capable of that.
I'm just trying to help. I want to do this. We're so close.
I know, but you telling me that I went back on my word is not the way to build. I'll never have.
So you gotta look at it from my perspective.
No, I would not go back on my word.
I'm not saying it was deliberate.
I would not go back on my word.
Survivor. God, tell you.
So that was, I mean, if you couldn't understand any of that, like I had trouble in the beginning, that was Joe and David having a conversation where David is like, you went back on your word, and then Joe refuted that about 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I think that rift between all of us that who is it, that Kyle and Joe talked about, it's coming to fruition.
And I think there's pretty solid lines drawn in the sand. Like, I don't think it's going to be a surprise what happens when this alliance falls out. I think it's very obviously going to be David versus Joe. And Joe has Kyle, Joe has Eva, Joe has Camilla. You know, he doesn't know that, but because Kyle has Camilla, Joe has Camilla. And then on the other side, you have David, who apparently is like tag teamed up with Mary. And they're gonna, I guess, use the rest of the players that the main alliance is forgetting about, which is, you know, Mitch and Star.
So David, he's still caught up on the fact that he wanted Camilla gone, and it was Chrissy.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to get Joe to admit it, like, hey, you changed the plan. But I mean, I believe Joe that the whole group changed the plan.
I mean, it was pretty apparent when
they all voted for her.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure what David is alluding to is something that maybe we'll see in the episode, like you know how sometimes the episode starts with like a flashback of what happened right before Tribal. I wonder if they just strong-armed David and said, "Look, we're all voting Chrissy, so either jump on the plan or don't," and maybe that's what he's upset about. But I mean, even when he was trying to make the switch to Camilla, and everyone in his alliance was like, "Hey, man, we're doing Chris." I mean, Joe immediately sided with Kyle. When Shaheen was asked about it, he was like, "Why are we switching up? Let's just do what we planned. Let's do Chrissy." You know, like it just. At what point did him thinking that Kyle was turning on them become David was turning on his own? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But what I do know is that taking out Chrissy when Camilla is there is stupid. Like, as much as I was crashing out about them,
big mistake.
It was a big mistake because they're bringing it up and I'm getting really angry. But I'm getting angry because she's my draft pick. It's the smart move to get rid of Camilla there.
Oh, well, and that's what we were talking about on the main pod last week is like David was 100% in the right. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, you know, the way you come across and, you know, the way that people have their fan favorites. Camilla's a fan favorite.
And then Chrissy being too outspoken is what was her downfall there, obviously. But I think the difference between Chrissy and Camilla is that Chrissy was very loud about her intentions, and Camilla has been like a secret undercover agent for the past 8 weeks.
Yeah, playing in the shadows, playing in the background.
I want to ask about somebody else who's kind of playing in the background right now, and that's Mary. Yeah. You know, as much as we all hate it, I wish they would just give us Mary content, even if she doesn't play a pivotal role. Just give me 10 minutes of Mary scenes.
Just I know that her confessionals are always going to be baller. Just put a little bit of Mary in the episode, man.
Yeah, like, even if the plan is not about her, have her explain what somebody else's plan is. Cut them out of the show. Like, cut David out of the show and just have Mary talk.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what that means, right? Because obviously the show was very Mary heavy for the first 3 episodes. Then we got very little Mary for the next little bit right before the merge, which I took as a good thing. Because I was like, if Mary is at the forefront of all of these episodes, she is not going to be lasting long. Like Say. Yeah. Say was at the forefront of pretty much every single episode, even if it had nothing to do with her. And it essentially just meant, you know, she's not here for the long haul. But now it's getting a little bit worrisome for me because I have Mary on my team. You know, if I don't start seeing Mary make some big moves and be kind of a key part of the episodes, I don't know how much longer she's going to be here.
If Mary was a 0 vote finalist, I would be upset about that.
I would be too, because usually the 0 vote finalist is the person that everyone's like, they probably shouldn't have even made it this far. But Mary, I mean, that's the thing that's a little frustrating is we haven't gotten to see her gameplay. You know what I mean? Like, no. And I would never speak ill of Mother Mary.
I wouldn't speak ill of Mother Mary either. However, I got to keep it real on making the merge, just like Mother Mary keeps it real. And I think Mary has questionable taste in men. Obviously, like we've all heard the song "Shoot," and then she's aligned with David. She also did a collab post with Johnny Fairplay. These are all horrible men. Well, I'm not going to say David's a horrible man, but I'll say
villains.
Yeah, I'll say Johnny Fairplay's a horrible man. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, hey man, it's what a man thing for you to do, to where there's 3 villain men and you're like, maybe the woman's the problem.
I'm just saying, if there's 3 villain men, maybe the woman should, walk the other direction.
I don't know, man. I think Mary can do no wrong. That's what I think. And I think Mary, I'm changing it up because now you've got me in full gimmick, brother. I was being real.
Right.
Now I'm in full gimmick, brother. Mary's going to win it all. Mary's going to take everybody out. She's playing double agent role on David, dude. She's not even with David. She's just messing with David's head so that she can leave him in the trailer just like David's real-life girlfriend.
You know what? I agree with your rant to some extent. But I think that Mary, I used to say stuff like Mary could do no wrong, but then Mary started targeting Camilla, and then in my eyes, that's the number one wrong thing you could do.
Yeah, this is where the draft really interferes with who we are as people.
We've had conversations with Mary. We all like we like her very much.
We like her very much, dude.
We have all participated in making Mary propaganda for the past couple months that has racked up a lot of views. I mean, we probably promoted her single better than she did.
Probably, man. And yeah, but at the end of the day, what we care about before anything else is winning the Making the Merge fantasy draft.
Yes.
That's all we care about. We would put real life relationships on the line.
Yeah, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win Jody Newell Cups, okay?
Exactly. I openly harass one of our co-hosts on a weekly basis because of how seriously I take this draft. You think I won't throw someone under the bus for Mother Mary? I'll kill a man for Mother Mary.
Yeah, I might not go that far, but I would do credit card fraud for Mary.
Hey, man, that's where I draw the line.
But speaking of Mary, I have a deleted scene from Mary in the last episode.
Let's hear it, dude.
So let's hear from our favorite mother.
Tonight is when people have to make a move, especially Shaheen, who has been cozying up to Camilla a lot. But at the reward, Joe's just burping and seeing you guys gotta relax. My guy, you can't relax.
I think we're good. It's so good. So if somebody's gonna make a move, it's gonna happen tonight.
David feels it. He's intuitive. I feel it. I'm intuitive. I would not be the last Bula standing if I were not intuitive. You should not trust Shaheen. He's setting things up to work with Camilla to start a coup and get rid of us. Something is afoot.
Say it again. I was listening.
So, obviously, once again, absolutely correct about the whole situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's almost like no one can do anything about it. That's how good of a plan that Camilla has put in place. And Kyle, of course, not to discredit Kyle, but I think that Camilla is truly the mastermind of the two.
I know. And when I picked Camilla, I didn't have enough to go off of to think she's a strategic mastermind. All it was she wants to throw Charity under the bus and she likes holes, and I saw that and I was like, I like this kid. She's got moxie.
The Sanctuary is where we kind of, we treat our main podcast almost like a hyper active, a hyper reality, an exaggeration, right? We're kind of playing characters to a certain extent. It's like the pro wrestlingification of a Survivor podcast.
I say things I regret almost weekly about contestants.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's because it's all for entertainment. But the Sanctuary is where I think we can get a little bit, we get a little bit more chill and we talk what we really believe. And I said something to you over the phone the other day that I want to bring up right here because I truly believe this. No jokes. I think Camilla is the 1,000,000% obvious winner of this season, and it's proven already, I think.
And if it doesn't happen, it'll be a little bit disappointing, I think, if it's not Eva. Because I'm like, who has had the Rachel-esque edit of this season.
Right.
And it's Camilla and Eva, and not so much Joe, but maybe to a lesser extent Joe.
Well, yeah. I mean, Joe has a little bit more of a traditional story, right? From the Survivor standpoint. Camilla's edit, you mentioned almost it being like Rachel's. It almost doesn't even feel like Rachel because Rachel was such an underdog for a big chunk of the season. Camilla, I think, has had a firm pulse on the game from day one. Like, it's like she set things up in the first couple episodes that are coming to fruition all of this time later after the merge. It's like she's one of the smartest Survivor players we've seen in a really long time, I think. Maybe I'm looking too deep in it, you know?
I don't think you are, because I've been saying it pretty much every time she gets any screen time. I'm like, amazing moment by Camilla, amazing confessional, amazing answer, like great strategy, great acting performance. It's like she doesn't do anything bad.
I actually sent you a prediction of like what I think the rest of the season is. And so I want it on the record. So I'm going to go ahead and read it out on the show, because if I get this right, then I'm a genius. And even though I will not win the cup, I still get bonus points.
But if you get it wrong, listeners, DM Chase, hold him accountable.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, this is my prediction for the rest of the season. Kyle uses Joe, Shaheen, and that whole alliance, and they turn on David and send him home. Then, with David gone, Kyle and Camilla use the numbers of Star, Mary, and Mitch to get the numbers and start picking off the strong alliance one by one, probably starting with Joe or Shaheen. Then they will take Star to the final three with them. It will be a Kyle, Camilla, Star final three. Kyle gets flustered at Final Tribal, and Camilla explains her position well, as she always does. Camilla wins by 2 votes. Star is a 0-vote finalist.
Hate that for Star, but I would love it for me for the Camilla part. I like the prediction. I do. I mean, especially because I win in it, but I think it checks out. I think it's all been leading to Kyle and Camilla taking over.
I do too. Now, I would love to be wrong and Mary to team up with someone like Mitch or Star, and they like turn the whole game on its head. I would love for that to be right, because I want Mary to win, obviously. But I also have Mitch on my team. And let's talk about that for a second. Mitch almost feels like he's not even in the game anymore. He feels like an afterthought. Star as well. But Mitch was such a major character at the beginning of this season, and now it's like, what is Mitch up to?
Well, that's what I'm wondering now. It feels like the 3 people who have taken a major backseat, Mary, Mitch, and Star, it's like, is it just going to be like a roulette wheel where like one of them is the one that's like, all right, let's take them and we can beat them and they get 0 votes?
And it's also a testament to how good this season is and how good this cast is, to where it's like even the players that aren't doing anything right now are still some of the most memorable of the whole season.
And I really hope we don't get minutes of Mary at the beginning of next week, because then it'll be like a dead giveaway situation.
I'll be very upset if Mary goes home this upcoming week.
I mean, it's horrible. It's a horrible day or week for Catholics, because Mary, she might go home and the Pope just died.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I will be more upset about Mary going home.
Me too. If you're Catholic,
we apologize.
Yeah,
but Mother Mary means a lot more than me.
Amen, brother. There was another scene. I'm not going to play it because, there's a reason it got deleted. It was a Kyle and Chrissy idol hunt where they didn't end up finding an idol. That's an easy one to take out of the edit bay.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting how hard Kyle was going, because I guess his back was against the wall and it was going to be Camilla, and he had to do whatever he could to save Camilla.
Yeah.
Kristen brought up an interesting point in our group chat today, where she goes, I wonder who's going to turn on who between Camilla and Kyle. And I don't think that they're going to turn on each other. But then it made me start thinking, and I was like, if one of them was to turn on the other, it's very clearly that Kyle is not going to ever turn on Camilla. He put his own game at severe risk last week to do whatever he could to keep Camilla in the game. I don't know if Camilla would have done the same.
That's interesting. I mean, they do have the Holes movie thing, and they're both Guyanese, and I feel like that was a really strong bond, so who knows. But the other thing is that Joe, I think Eva maybe would be more likely to backstab Joe, because as we heard Joe say in that other scene like 10 times, I never go back on my word. He gave Eva his word from the very beginning.
I would be shocked if Eva turned on Joe. But yeah, out of the two possibilities, Joe is not going to backstab Eva. If he did, he would become a huge villain, and it might be exactly what Survivor needs, and it would be awesome. But it would be pretty rough, dude. He's like he backstabs Eva, sends her home, rips his shirt off. He's wearing an RFK Jr. T-shirt underneath. Then he just starts flexing his muscles and drinking milk.
Hey, shout out to me, I guess. I had a comment on Eva's post that got 3-point-something thousand likes.
Likes.
It was about RFK. I'm not going to read it. If you want to go see it, go find it.
Yeah, nerds.
I'm upset a little bit based off the preview, because there was another one that we didn't play where Shaheen notices Eva's gone. And that's real bad for me.
Explain that. Why is that bad for you?
Well, because he goes to Joe. He's like, hey, man, Eva's missing. And then he's in a confessional saying, like, hey, the game is like, it's just beginning. Like, oh, you want to play? We're going to play.
So you take that almost to mean...
She's the target as soon as that
She's
idol.
the target.
Yeah, like they're going to target her to get the idol gone. And then if they can, the next week, just get her out of the game.
Joe's not going to do that, though.
No, he won't. But
no, Joe is not going to go along with that. And that's what's so interesting about the numbers right now is you've got 3 people that are just available numbers. And I'm so curious to see who's going to be the first person to grab Star, Mitch, and Mary's votes.
It seems like, David and Mary are a package deal, so they have to also align themselves with David if they want to do that. But Mary seems like she'd be flexible.
I don't think Mary has, because I've been seeing this online all week, and it's been driving me nuts, where people are like, I guess Mary's just in love with David. And I'm like,
well, didn't Bran say something like that? Yeah, I think Bran said that David was in love with Mary.
Yeah, something like that. But it's just like it was one episode where David and Mary kind of teamed up.
Yeah, I don't think they had the same idea about like Camilla needs to be the one.
Yeah, I think Mary would switch to the. I mean, obviously she switched to Chrissy last week,
and she switched to MAGA. If you've heard the rumors.
Oh man, she's gonna be so mad at you for that, dude.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
Mary is not MAGA.
No, she's not. She loudly proclaimed that on a stage.
It was so sick. It was so funny, dude. I saw a funny TikTok that had Mary in it. Everybody was singing a song with a bunch of former Survivor players.
It was Annika. Dude, Annika makes these fantastic TikToks for it. I think she did one with Sam to a Gracie Abrams song that made me download the song. Dang.
She doing promo for real artists. She's what Kelly Wentworth thinks she is.
Oh. Man, so we're taking shots on the sanctuary.
Hey, man, it's late.
Yeah, I've seen you
I'm
yawn
tired.
like 3 times.
And, hey, man, I don't know if any of you listeners have parasocial relationships with us, which would be wild because we just started this show less than 6 months ago. First things first, you need to know, I am not nice all the time.
No, and sometimes I have to do damage control.
Yeah.
Like Chase will get heated about something, and then I have to try to bring the temperature down if I can.
Yeah. I get hot-headed, man. It's my roots.
Well, I do have some Chrissy exit press that I would
Let's
like to
hear
get
it.
into. So now, I don't have the. I wonder if I could just play it. Oh, it is in here.
Let's hear it.
Chrissy is speaking. Chrissy is speaking. Chrissy.
Bet you didn't think you were going to hear that again.
But one last time.
Well, actually, the one last time is going to be Final Tribal, and then the reunion show. And then it's over forever.
That's true. That's true, because she is on the jury, brother.
She is. So, Survivor 48 star Chrissy Cernowski on the crying and screaming we didn't see on TV. She said, I got him so upset. That's the pull quote. And it's by Patrick Gomez for Entertainment Weekly. And then another thing at the top of this article, it said, the second jury member admits she had diarrhea of the mouth. She said, apparently, when I go to tribal council, I just have diarrhea of the mouth. I can't help it. I don't know what it is. Everybody else is really good at skirting around, and I'm just like, everything's got to come out. But yeah, I had a feeling it was me. Nobody was really talking to me, and I'm watching the big guys, Joe, Eva, Shaheen, the big group. None of them really talked to me. I went to go try to talk to Joe, and he wouldn't even look at me in the face. He wouldn't even turn his head to look at me. That pissed me off even more. Now I see that somebody went in Joe's ear and told Joe that I was going after him. And once you tell the big dog that I'm going after him, I knew that I was scraps at that point. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm going out. I'm throwing some names out there. I'm trying to raise some awareness of what's going on. All right, so the interviewer said that didn't go over well with David. And then Chrissy said they didn't show it, but at one point David was literally yelling at me. I remember turning around going, "Who are you yelling at?" I apparently got him so upset, but I didn't know that David was pushing Camilla. If he would have pulled me to the side and been like, "Chrissy, it's you or Camilla," my whole strategy would have changed at that point.
Yeah, that's actually a fascinating point. Why didn't David try to loop Chrissy in on this?
When she was the one he was trying to save, yeah. And then she
Why?
wouldn't have ranted at him.
Yeah, and then they would have had an extra number. That's so weird. But I guess he just wasn't wanting to turn on his alliance, so he just went with what they wanted to do. That's so interesting, though. It strongly seems... This is a question I have, and maybe you have a theory about this. Why would they edit out the part where David is like really yelling at her? Do they want him to still be likable in case he's the winner? Or are they just afraid of having anyone be too much of a villain?
But at the same time, like, they don't have a problem making some other people out to be massive villains. So maybe
Yeah.
you're right, that maybe David makes it to the end and they want to portray him differently.
Yeah, maybe. Because, I mean, I think that would have made for great TV. If he
Man.
was yelling at Chrissy like that, you know? Because Chrissy comes across obnoxious in that episode at the tribal. So it's like, I would have loved to see the other side of it.
Yeah, release the tapes, Jeff.
Yeah, release the David Gate, dude.
Yeah, Chrissy David Gate.
And then also it's like, from what she's saying about like the big dog and you know, the big strong alliance, it definitely feels like the Integrity and Honor Alliance, it feels like they're kind of assholes out there. You know what I mean? Like they're using the honesty and it feels like a classic Survivor season with someone like Boston Rob or one of the other like very controlling, dominating alliances where there's one top dog and they have a firm grasp on everything. You know, Fireman Tom from way back in the day. He manipulated one of his like right-hand players to quitting a challenge by like making him feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a classic Survivor element that we've forgotten about in the new era because it's all about an individual's game. But numbers win the season. And if you can control people without them feeling like they're being controlled, like how Joe is seemingly doing, Joe seems like the nicest guy in the world, but at the end of the day, he does seem to be kind of like dominating and controlling everything.
I mean, going back to him shutting down Chrissy in that conversation about how to pick the teams. Then we have him, like with David, not willing to budge an inch in that conversation.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And then he won't even look at Chrissy, we find out.
Yeah. I mean, hearing it like this makes me think they're not showing this dominating alliance being kind of assholes. We don't see David yelling. We're not seeing Joe kind of be, you know, so controlling. And I wonder if it's because they don't want everyone to look like a villain if the final 3 or 4 is Joe, Eva, David, and Shaheen, you know?
Yeah, I'm just so grateful that regardless of which group comes out on top, I should have one person. Unless Shaheen, this is where I said business is picked up. There's a lot of conflicting interests here. Shaheen wants to work with Camilla. He's now very suspicious of Eva.
Yeah.
How is that going to play out?
I mean, best case scenario for the world is Eva wins. And we have the very outspoken autistic player winning Survivor. That's the best outcome for the universe, right? Mm-hmm. Is because, and I mean, put aside the humanity of it all, marketing wise, having your winner be this very outspoken autistic, kind of champion, winning the season, dominating, being a part of the strong alliance.
So I need to say something about Chrissy. I had wanted to brainwash the audience with the Chrissy drop. I talked about that, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was manufactured. Yeah. I want to get it in people's heads. I accidentally brainwashed myself the other day. So I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. They have a pitcher named Chris Sale. He got a strikeout to end the inning. And I said, let's go, Chrissy. And then as soon as I said that, the alarm bells went off in my head.
Chrissy is pitching.
Chrissy is pitching for the Braves.
Yeah, dude. It's really fun. You mentioned how we've been doing some, Mary propaganda. We love pitching Mary as a hero of the people. I wonder as the seasons go on and as the years go by, how much more will the internet have an effect on what happens in the actual season? Like, at what point will CBS and Jeff and the producers see how much one player is getting so much buzz online that they hit the editing room and kind of rearrange some stuff in later episodes to like capitalize on the popularity of a player online? Or do you think that's already something that they do?
I don't think they care at all about that, honestly. I don't think Jeff even looks at the stuff online, and he's
I'm sure
probably
someone is, though.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody. The interns are maybe, but Jeff. I bet it's like a very insulated thing when they're putting all that together and going through all that stuff. There's probably not too much outside noise coming in because there can't be. Because I think Jeff is very much like, if you ever listen to Jeff, Jeff knows exactly what he wants to do, and he doesn't care how you feel about it unless there is like overwhelming backlash to an idea or something.
Yeah, and I want to say something that might be controversial. I think Jeff is 99% right.
Me too.
Every time.
And that's really controversial. I can feel people, like, even in our audience, they're probably like, Jeff, he's an out-of-touch old man. And I heard somebody call it, it was Shane Powers. He said, it's not Survivor anymore. It's Jeff's Island Funhouse. And I'm like, hey, sign me up. I love the Funhouse.
Yeah, I don't understand why people act like it's still not difficult. If you go back and binge all the Survivor seasons, you will notice those first 10 or so, it's like they're starving. Food and starving is such a major part of the show. After 20 years, 25 years, it would get boring if every season it's just they're hungry. Yeah. They're so hungry out there.
Oh,
they have to switch it up.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah, it's a well-established fact. They're hungry. People bitch and moan about it being shorter days. That has nothing to do with, they're like, we're making it easier for the players. It's a production thing. Would you rather have no Survivor or a little bit less days of Survivor? They're trying to save money. They're not pulling the same advertise. Network television is not the same place it was 10 years ago. So either you get Survivor or you don't get Survivor. And I want Survivor.
Me too, brother. And I've been saying it all along that, whether they're out there for 20 days or 100 days, it's the same amount of episodes on the season, so it does not affect me one bit.
And we get longer episodes now.
Yeah, so we do get more Survivor than ever.
Yeah, so everybody just needs man,
we're getting too worked up. This is where the good pods happen, remember?
I am getting worked
too.
up. It's just infuriating how whenever there's a fan of something, if you're a fan of something, like it. It's like fans get to be fans to the point where they hate the thing that they're watching.
But, I mean, on the flip side of that, you can't tell me to like Saint Anger, like Metallica's worst album, is garbage, is the worst record they've ever made.
Yeah, there's seasons of Survivor I don't like. There's recent seasons of Survivor I don't like.
I have another point about that it seems like if somebody's favorite goes home, or if a couple people they really like to go home, they start to turn on the season as a whole. And I think about, to me, Survivor is a sport. And my team doesn't win every year. But I don't say this sport is horrible. Everything about this sport needs to change to accommodate the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that's what I want.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you can look at Survivor in different ways. You see it as a sport. I watch it like it's a drama. You know what I mean? Like I see it as like a TV show. And then there's a Survivor TikTok creator. I think her name is Teg.
Yeah, Tegwith.
Yeah, she made she had a TikTok talking about how she was talking about to someone about what her favorite show was, and they're like, "Oh, Survivor," and she was like, "Oh no." Like, it never even occurred to her that Survivor was a TV show that could be her favorite show. It's more than that. And I agree. It's like, it doesn't feel like just a TV show. It doesn't feel like just a sport. It doesn't feel like just anything. It's Survivor. It's one of the most popular and important cultural monoliths in the pop culture pyramid. You know what I mean? Like, I could do a dissertation about how I think that Survivor is the most important show to American culture since the creation of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. You know, like,
I think it's a better
that important.
peek into the culture than Johnny Carson or whatever late night is on at the time, because it's like a real window into American culture from 20 years ago. You put on one of those old seasons, it is nothing like, and it's not just because of the format of the game being different, it's those people. People 20 years ago were not the way people are now. And I think totally a lot of the changes have been for the better.
100%. Oh, yeah, 1,000%. And it doesn't even have to be all the way at the beginning either. Like, if you go back just to, like, the 30s, season 30s, when they did Gen X versus Millennial, that was 2 generations ago.
Yeah.
Like, if they did it now, it would be
Gen
Z
Z
versus Millennial, or Gen Alpha versus Gen Z. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what's so interesting about it is, like, you get to look into the culture of what, because at that time it was Gen X versus Millennials in just life, where it was just Gen X people calling Millennials lazy and get a job and they don't do anything.
And the Millennials are like, recession, we're screwed, you guys did this.
And so it's like that season is almost like a representation of the time. I don't know. We're getting way off track.
We are, but it's fun. I love Survivor so much. I mean, we're just ranting now. Maybe I'll do what. To me, the way I look at Survivor is like a sport, because it's just like MLB or NFL. You have these parameters that everybody knows, and then what's fun about it is it's the same game, but it's how do these individuals decide that they're going to do something different within the same set of rules that people have had for however many years. And that's what's so
and
when
someone does do something different and someone does something wild, it makes for like huge entertainment.
Yeah, like, or you get an anomaly like Cedric, where he does a bunch of things that have never been done before, ever. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can tell, we really love Survivor.
Yeah, man. Yes, we do. Because that's what's funny, and like a peek to the outside of the podcast is, like, when we get done recording tonight, we'll be texting about Survivor until
it
like
never
2 in the
stops.
morning.
It really never stops.
No,
we have a Survivor group chat. I mean, we look at Survivor content all over the place. Like, what, 20-30% of my life, I feel like, is consumed by Survivor, or at least my brain.
Yeah. Well, it's become, I don't even know what to say. It's just become important.
Yeah, I mean, I've felt that way ever since we started the draft and weren't doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I still wanted to discuss Survivor all the time. I mean, the reason I wanted to start this podcast is because I'm like, we talk about the show way too much. We might as well record it.
And now we talk about the show Survivor, and then we talk about our show about Survivor.
And then we talk about the fans' reaction to Survivor, and then we complain about the complaining.
Yeah. Maybe we're in too deep. We need to go touch grass, dude.
Well, you know what? Maybe we need to touch space, because I have I have some audio from Katy Perry.
Not Gayle King?
Oh, well, Gayle's coming up a little bit after this is what we'll end on.
After the break?
Well, after the break, sure. All right, let's hear from Katy.
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that, and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space for the future. And for me, like Gayle said, this wasn't a ride, it wasn't a destination, it was a journey, and it was a supernatural one.
Speaking of Survivor, hey Jeff, I got a pitch. Supernatural journeys. Let's bring in some like mediums into these things. Do some tarot reading, maybe.
Oh man, dude, I saw a hilarious TikTok where Gayle King was justifying. She was calling out the haters that were coming at her, and she said, "Have you been to space? I didn't think so." And someone was like, "Yeah, because we got bills and shit."
Hey man, I am not going to criticize Oprah's lesbian lover. All right,
Is that actually who
it's
she is?
heavily speculated on. It's not official.
GAYLE.
But
That's
it's,
the GAYLE I've always heard.
That's the GAYLE.
And she's just been chilling on CBS.
She has, and chilling in space for 10 seconds. You know what? Let's hear from GAYLE. Not after the break. I'll spare you guys. We'll do the break after the show ends, so you don't have to listen to it like normal.
Katy, you got to sing something. Is it going to be roar? Is it going to be fireworks? Is it going to be extraterrestrial? I said, you have to sing. She goes, actually, I don't. How could you be up here and not? She goes, I'm not planning to sing because we were all ready with our little sing-alongs. But when we were coming back down, Katy just broke out in a cappella, What a Wonderful World. And the way that she sang it, nobody dared join in. As opposed to we would all been, if it had been roar fireworks, it would have been a sing-along. But in that moment, she looked outside her window. She said, I haven't sang that song in years. And it was perfection. It was perfection. I'll never forget that moment.
Like, I know I played her talking about that earlier, but this is a little extra
important.
insight, you know?
Yeah, it's important to listen about it because I was a Katy Perry defender before all this. It's really hard to justify. It's just cringy, dude. It's cringy.
Well, she's been extremely cringy for a little bit now, but that hasn't stopped me from loving like the California Girls album and all that.
I just big fan of Orlando Bloom, so
I'm a big fan of the one that got away, Hot and Cold. You know, One of the Boys is another classic Katy album. I can overlook Going to Space. You know, there's some musicians I can't overlook their controversies, like Kanye,
like Kid Rock.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. But going to space for a few seconds and making some cringy documentary, it's not going to stop me from listening to old Katy Perry albums.
Yeah, I just wish. I don't even care about them going to space. I just wish they wouldn't make it sound like it was so important.
That's the funniest part, though. Like, that's the reason we opened last show, and then we're ending this show with it.
Yeah.
And I have one final thing.
Okay.
I keep having stuff pop up. Like, I didn't plan on making this how we ended the show. I guess the internet has just figured out, like, feed him more Blue Origin female space content. He really likes it. So this is on Reddit. I had a thread pop up that said, Katy is regretting her Blue Origin space flight. And I was like, oh, fascinating. This is 8,000 upvotes. It says she's regretting it now. I thought she was, like, really publicly not regretting it. And then I read the article, and the article completely contradicts the headline of the article. It said, Katy doesn't regret going to space. It was life-changing. What she does regret is making a public spectacle out of it. So,
there you go.
Yep, no
Katy,
regrets,
I'm back
but
on
one.
your side.
Yeah. All right, shout out to Katy, shout out to GAYLE, and we love Survivor.
Amen. If that's the one takeaway from this podcast, it's we love Survivor.
Yep.
And Gayle King.
And Mother Mary. Even if I, made some comments about, it's about Camilla, all right? Can't come for Camilla.
Hey, I don't think Mary's gonna be mad at you, but if she is, then maybe that just means that she regrets that one time when she said she wishes you drafted her and not me.
Yeah, well, I mean, she did immediately go back on that and say, I'm not going to PD. So,
yeah.
Look, it is what it is. I'm happy with my team. I'm happy that you joined me for this episode, Chase. And I'm happy that I don't know where I'm going with that.
You didn't have a third thing,
No,
man.
I'm happy that the Katy Perry went on a supernatural journey.
Jeff, Supernatural Journeys next week. This has been The Sanctuary,
where good pods happen.
You're about to hear some ads that help keep the lights on here in the old studio. Thanks for listening or don't listen. It's really up to you at this point. It's at the end of the show. I mean, you're listening to me. Hi. But here they come. I promise they're coming. Yep, here they are. Happy day.